What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update and all the different provisions that are going to be in the next infrastructure/stimulus package, the fourth stimulus package, as well as what is going on in the world today. As you can tell, over the last 24 to 48 hours, things have really been heating up. We have a new SSI Social Security increase proposal for $279 per month, as well as several new bills on the docket that they want to include in this next infrastructure package. So things are really heating up. We're really starting to see the push to add more stimulus items in this next stimulus package. And I have several of them we're going to go over here today. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates on the next round of stimulus checks and stimulus package, as well as hit the like button for us down below. It really helps out our channel. All right, let's jump right in. All right, we have a new bill for first-time home buyers for a significant amount of money that came out this week, and it's not a tax credit. And we know that President Biden is pro home buyer credits or home buyer assistance or stimulus, we'll call it. And we have a new bill this week. As you can see here, it's not a tax credit, and conditions limit how many people will qualify. This is just another item that could be included in this next infrastructure package, just another type of stimulus provision. As you know, there is a lot more than just the fourth stimulus check and monthly recurring stimulus checks that they want to include in this next infrastructure package. As you know, I really think there will be at least a fourth stimulus check included in this infrastructure/stimulus package, likely in the second half of the package, the human infrastructure, before all is said and done. As we get further and further away from the third stimulus check, I think that before all is said and done, they will add in at least a fourth stimulus check in the human infrastructure called the American Families Act or American Families Plan. But I also think they could combine the plans and pass it in one package, through the reconciliation process. As the Senate parliamentarian has ruled, they can use this 2 more times this fiscal year alone. And then Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says that they can go back and edit or amend them as well. So, and we know that the support continues to grow by the day for the monthly recurring stimulus checks for either the $2,000 plan from the Senate that goes until the pandemic is over, or the one-time $2,000 fourth stimulus check, then followed by $1,000 monthly recurring stimulus checks from the U.S. House of Representatives. The support for this continues to grow day by day as we get further away from the third stimulus check package. And I really do believe we will see at least, at worst case scenario, a single fourth stimulus check in this next package. Best case scenario would be monthly recurring stimulus checks. Either the $1,000 or the $2,000 per month would be absolutely phenomenal for both American people and the economy. That would really jumpstart our economy like we have never seen before. Imagine all Americans who get a stimulus check now getting monthly stimulus payments and having extra money to be able to go and spend in the economy. Business would boom and the stock market would hit an all-time high. Remember, the stock market is just one indicator of how the country is doing, mostly how businesses are doing. But that would skyrocket because businesses would be flush with cash because people would have money to actually go and spend on businesses, and then businesses would be able to hire more people and thus thereby create millions and more jobs and sales tax and payroll tax, and it all goes around many different times. Consumers have been closely following President Biden's proposed first-time home buyer tax credit. But the latest legislative effort to assist homebuyers differs in several significant ways. The newest draft of a down payment assistance bill that came out this week would provide $25,000 to first-time homebuyers, but only those who are also first-generation homebuyers and economically disadvantaged. Plus, Biden's proposal is not actually a homebuyer tax credit, but it is money that would be available at closing, which is actually better than a home buyer tax credit because you don't have to wait until your tax return for the next year. You would actually literally have it as part of your down payment that could be provided at closing. On Wednesday, lawmakers published a draft version of the legislation called the Down Payment Toward Equity Act of 2021, ahead of a hearing held by U.S. Committee on Finance Services, which Representative Maxine Waters chairs. You know Maxine Waters; she's been in the news and on our show a lot lately. During the hearing, lawmakers discussed a number of housing members on the table in President Biden's infrastructure package, including funding to shore up public housing. The proposed down payment assistance would be means tested based on income and limited to those who have not owned a house for at least 3 years. To qualify, neither of the borrower's parents may have owned a home. That qualification doesn't apply if the borrower's parents lost their home in a foreclosure or short sale, or if the borrower has ever been in foster care, however. Borrowers who make no more than 120% of the area median income where they live, or if they live in a high cost area, 180%, would qualify for a baseline of a $20,000 home buyer credit. Well, it's not a tax credit, but we'll call it a credit or a grant. Those recognized as socially disadvantaged because they're in a group that has been, quote, subject to racial or ethnic prejudice could receive an additional $5,000 for a total of $25,000. The grant funding, which is not a tax credit, could be used at closing towards a down payment on a residential property with 1 to 4 units. So it actually could be used for an investment property with more than one unit there, including a condominium, cooperative project, or a manufactured housing unit. This program is currently being discussed in the U.S. House of Representatives and would dole out funds to states based on population, median area home prices, and racial disparities in homeowner rates. As I said, multiple different stimulus provisions are going to be included in this next infrastructure package. I have some more to get to here in a second. But first, another bill from bipartisan groups in the Senate have unveiled a new bill at confronting the border surge with the border crisis that we're currently experiencing. Senators John Cornyn and Kirsten Sinema from Texas, he's a Republican from Texas, she's a Democrat from Arizona, so bipartisan group, introduced legislation Thursday aimed at responding to a surge of immigrants across the U.S. Mexico border. The bill, dubbed the Bipartisan Border Solutions Act, would establish regional processing centers, prioritize the scheduling of immigrant cases during a surge, and create a pilot program to try to establish, quote, a fairer and more efficient way to decide asylum cases and focus on protections for unaccompanied migrant children. It would also increase staff for migrant surges, including 150 immigration judges and 300 asylum officers. Quote, the crisis at the border is not a Democrat or Republican problem. This is an American problem, Kirsten Sinema told reporters on about the legislation. The Biden administration has been grappling with an influx of migrants at the southern border, many of them with unaccompanied children or teenagers. Customs and Border Protection apprehended more than 170,000 people at the US Mexican border in just the month of March alone, the highest number in at least 15 years. So, yeah, Border Patrol has basically apprehended 170,000 people trying to come into the United States illegally on the Mexican border, and just in the month of March alone. So it does seem like this problem has got worse underneath President Biden, really only in his first 2 or 3 months here. And like I said, it's going to be a very difficult solution to fix this. And personally, I don't know. I think that he may have to complete the wall. I've been seeing some new reports that the Biden administration is actually seizing people's property along the Mexican border, as you can see right here. Biden pledged to stop building the wall, but he just won the rights to seize a Texas's family land for it. And there's multiple different cases of this still happening right now underneath the new Biden administration. So the real question is if they continue to seize land from families on the border, what do they plan on doing with the land? Do they plan on finishing the wall? We've seen from a recent interview, probably about a month ago at this point, from former President Donald Trump, what he said that he thinks that the border wall is about 90% complete and could be completed within a month. Although I keep my finger on the pulse of this stuff and I just shoot down the middle. I'm a realist, not a Republican, not a Democrat. I think that Biden might be considering finishing the wall, but I think it really goes against his principles, and it would really look bad to a lot of people that he reversed his decision on this. So I think that that is the main thing of probably him not doing it. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the future because we've already spent billions of dollars on the wall. There's already money still allocated that President Biden stopped on his first day in office. Many Republicans actually filed a like a junction against him, saying that he couldn't do that because it's against the law because that those funds were appropriated by Congress, but yet he paused the work on that with that money that's already been passed by Congress, which a president can't do. But he did it anyways, and well, it would have to go through the courts, and they're not really challenging it in the courts right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes ahead at some point in the future and says, "Let's finish the wall." But the other problem with that is that most likely for the next election is President Biden would be going up again against former President Donald Trump. And former President Donald Trump would probably really hammer him on, you said you weren't going to complete the wall and now you changed your mind and it's my wall. I could just see a whole big argument going on about that. But let me know if you think the wall should be finished. So apparently it's mostly finished. We've spent billions of dollars on it. We literally took people away from the wall that we're working on. They lost their jobs instantly. And there's money sitting there to complete it. And apparently it's close to 90% completed. And they just have to finish gaps in the wall. Let me know your thoughts because with this border crisis and 170,000 people trying to come into the country illegally just in March alone, um, it would definitely make it harder for them to do it if there was a completed wall everywhere. You would probably see that number drastically go down almost immediately. So, speaking of Democratic Senator Kirsten Sinema, she's been very busy, along with Mitt Romney from the Republicans, on several different bipartisan bills, which means support from Republicans and Democrats, including this one that just came out in like the last week, teaming up on a new proposal to raise the minimum wage. And again, this is a bipartisan proposal, and they haven't released the final details on it yet, but it's expected to be around $11 an hour. In fact, Democratic Senator middle leaning Joe Manchin from West Virginia, he actually kind of let the cat out of the bag saying that he expects it to be $11 an hour, even though he's not included in their committee. It's almost like he needs the spotlight. But raising the minimum wage to $11 an hour would be a 50% increase and would be a huge stimulus bill for many, many millions of Americans. They would go from $7.25, which it is the minimum wage in 20 different states right now, to $11 an hour to all 50 states. Now, the states can be more than that, but that would be a huge increase of up to 50% for some people. It wouldn't go live instantly. It would probably take a couple years for it to go live. So basically, it would go up on a step-up basis. So it would go up by about a dollar or two per year until they reach $11 an hour. Speaking of Democratic Senator Joe Manchin and the minimum wage, apparently Democratic Senator Joe Manchin mocked fellow Democrat slash independent senators Bernie Sanders' bill for $15 an hour, and he mocked it in front of a crowd. Democratic Joe Manchin, a senator, and Kirsten Sinema were at a closed-door event with restaurant lobbyists yesterday, bragging about defeating the $15 an hour minimum wage. Manchin even mocked Bernie Sanders for his effort, calling it a disgrace. When Joe Manchin told attendees at the National Restaurant Association, the NRA, their conference on Tuesday that the minimum wage shouldn't be more than $11 an hour, and there still should be a sub-minimum wage for tipped workers, or tipped workers should make less than the minimum wage like they do now. The the National Restaurant Association's group chief lobbyist couldn't contain his excitement and said, "From your lips to God's ears," as he cheered this on, basically saying that the restaurant industry doesn't want to pay more than they pay now for restaurant server employees, which is still $2.13 per hour and has been for many, many years. So yeah, so that kind of shows you the politics of what goes on different sides of the bill. And remember, Joe Manchin is considered a Democrat, although very often middle leaning. But in the end, he almost all the time ends up voting with the Democrats, although sometimes he makes them do concessions. But he did vote with them in the third stimulus check package as well. The other bill that Mitt Romney and Kirsten Sinema have co-introduced, another bipartisan bill, is a bill to reduce student loan debt, where you can set up a savings program similar to other college savings programs, but the government would match it 8-1. So if you put in $1,000, then the government would match it with $8,000. So if you put in $10,000, the government would match it with $80,000. This is going with the push, and remember, that's a bipartisan bill. This is going with the push to cancel student loan debt, which President Biden says he is willing to do at least $10,000 of student loan forgiveness. Although many Democrats, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Representative AOC, want him to do more, as high as $50,000, and they say he can do that simply through executive order. I do think he will do that through executive order of at least $10,000. The question will be the timing. Will he wait until after the infrastructure package is passed so that he doesn't have some moderate-leaning Democrats such as Joe Manchin saying, "Well, we just did this student loan forgiveness, so we don't want to go too buck wild here. We don't want to spend too much money." So that's what I'm kind of thinking. I thought we were going to have an announcement here in the last week. Remember, he's already did 3 mini rounds of student loan forgiveness in the last month. But now I'm kind of thinking that he might wait a few weeks until after this next infrastructure/stimulus package is passed. But if they do the debt forgiveness, then they can do that's for people with already that have loans. Then for people that don't have loans yet, for new people going to college, we have this new proposal for free college, which is absolutely huge. And if that doesn't happen, then we have this other proposal for the 8-1 savings match, where the government will basically 8 times match it, which would be not as good as free college, but the next best thing. So, like I said, there's a lot of different stimulus items or provisions that could be in this next infrastructure/stimulus package. So, along with the stimulus checks or even the monthly recurring stimulus checks, we now have a proposed SSI Social Security increase and all sorts of these other stimulus items. So I will keep you up to date on all these different items. There's a link down below in the description for the Social Security increase. Or you can just click this video right here for the Social Security increase, or click this video for my newest stimulus check video. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.